Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into AngloGold Ashanti's massive billion-dollar bet on its own future. We're going to use their 2025 earnings report to see exactly how this gold mining giant took a record-smashing year and turned it into a huge strategic pivot. Okay, let's just jump right in with one single massive number: $2.9 billion. That's the record-breaking free cash flow AngloGold Ashanti generated in 2025. That's the kind of number that doesn't just turn heads, it funds empires, and we're about to see how. So how in the world did they pull off a year like that? To really get where they're going, we first have to understand the incredible financial firepower they built up in 2025. Well, the engine behind all this was a huge 45% surge in the average price of gold. That kind of tailwind just supercharged their profitability. Their adjusted EBITDA, which is just a key way to measure profit, shot up an absolutely incredible 129%. And believe me, it didn't stop there. Headline earnings, another core profit metric, grew even faster. We're talking a staggering 186% climb compared to the year before. This just shows you the insane leverage the company has when the gold price moves in their favor. And here's where it hits home for investors. The company took all that cash flowing in and handed back a record-breaking $2 billion to its shareholders. It's just a crystal clear sign of how their great performance translates into actual real returns. But, this amazing year wasn't just a story about a high gold price. Nope, it was just as much about what the company was doing behind the scenes, focusing on discipline and really just managing their money smartly. Now, what I think is really interesting here is how this breaks down the challenge. See, on one side, you have all the stuff they can't control, right? Market forces like inflation, higher royalties. But on the other side, you have what they could control. And the company says it's this intense focus on cost discipline that allowed them to keep their real cash costs flat for 4 years straight. That's pretty much unheard of in this sector. This slide shows a complete, total financial transformation. In just 1 year, AngloGold went from being over $500 million in debt to holding almost $900 million in straight-up cash. To put that in perspective, it's like paying off your mortgage, your car, all your credit cards, and still having nearly $1 billion sitting in the bank. It's a huge shift. So, what do you do when you have all that cash and a balance sheet that's solid as a rock? Well, you make a massive bet on the future. And for AngloGold, that big bet is happening right in the middle of Nevada. The company's CEO, Alberto Calderon, he's not shy about it. He calls this project the Holy Grail. And that's not just talk. He says the Arthur Gold Project is one of the most important new gold discoveries in the U.S. this century. They really believe they've hit on something world-class. And this just breaks down the staggering scale of it all. They're starting with almost 5 million ounces in reserves, but they say that's just the top of the iceberg. The projected returns are over 20%, which is fantastic, even with a massive initial price tag of $3.6 billion. And crucially, the geology is pretty simple, which means processing is straightforward. None of the big technical risks you see with some other projects in Nevada. But, of course, building a future like that, well, it doesn't come cheap. The company is now signaling a major pivot. After a year of record profits, the next year is all about heavy investment, rising expenses, and building for the long haul. This table really lays out the trade-off perfectly, doesn't it? You can see their production guidance for 2026 is pretty flat, but then look at the other two rows. Cash cost per ounce, they're expected to go up thanks to inflation and royalties. And the big one, that growth spending, what they call CapEx, is set to almost double as they pour money into that Nevada project. So, when you put it all together, what does it all mean? Well, it's a really clear strategic shift, from harvesting cash today to planting the seeds for some serious future growth. The big takeaway here is that we're watching a classic business story play out in real time. AngloGold had this absolutely phenomenal year, right? Fueled by high gold prices and being smart with their operations. Now they're taking all those profits and plowing them back into a giant long-term project that could define the company for decades. This slide really just sums up the whole story. They used a record-breaking past to get financially strong. Now that strength is funding an incredibly ambitious future out in Nevada. But the story isn't over, not by a long shot. This new chapter comes with higher costs and the huge challenge of actually building a multi-billion-dollar mine from scratch. And that leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? They are making a bold long-term bet. Is this project going to be the holy grail their CEO imagines, something that creates value for decades? Or is it a really high-stakes gamble in a volatile world full of big risks? The answer to that question is what will define the next chapter for one of the biggest gold miners on the planet.